Have you ever noticed that whenever a couple has a problem, everybody and their grandmom will be like, leave them. If a couple has something go down, if the man, does something, if the wife cheats, or if the girlfriend, does something, everybody is like, leave them. Okay. And some of the times they're right. Some behaviors you need to leave a person for, seriously. I heard some behaviors the other day that were very disturbing, and I was like, I would have been left. The lady was talking about how her lover, her wife, as a matter of fact, they're married. She was saying that her wife does not treat her children the same way that she treats her own children. The wife is biased to her biological children. And I was like, as soon as I picked up on that, I would have tried to work on it, and if it didn't work, I would leave. That's something that can damage and scar a child. So I would not hang around for that. But some things you don't have to leave for. Some things you can go to therapy, some things you can talk your way through, and other things are deal breakers. So the other day, I was on Instagram, and the millennial therapist who I adore, you guys know, her name is Sarah Kuborik. Any of you who've watched my show before, I've used her lists before. She makes these amazing little bullet lists and talks about things that I love, mostly relationships. So today we're going to talk about some reasons that she gave to end a relationship, and if we agree. So in the comment section, when I'm done with this list, let me know if you agree with any or all or some of the reasons that she gave to end a relationship. Okay? So first, let me do the introduction. I am Queen Arset Haru, for those of you who do not know me, and this is Ask an Aquarius. Thank you for joining me. If you like this channel, please allow me to earn your subscription. So if you watch my video and you dig it, then let's make a deal. If you dig my videos, you'll hit the subscribe button. And if you so choose, you will also hit the join button that is right next to it. And don't forget to smack the bell that's next to the subscribe button. YouTube has a lot of instructions. But if you just hit that red button, I'll be eternally grateful. Okay? Also, please give this video a thumbs up if you like it. These are very easy ways of helping YouTube content creators. Please drop me a positive comment in the comment section, and stick around to the end of the video because I'm going to drop some of my favorite comments from previous videos. Also, if you want to get a reading done, if you want to get Ask an Aquarius merchandise, ArchAngel Michael merchandise, if you want to hit me up on social media, if you want to email me, if you want to become one of my patrons on Patreon, if you want to leave me a PayPal donation, all of that information is underneath this video. All right, let's get to it. Reasons to leave, reasons to be out, reasons to break up with your husband, your wife, your lover. Here's number one. Your partner doesn't have the same goals for the relationship. This is a good one. If your goal for the relationship is to get married, and I see this one a lot, if your goal is to get married and their goal is to be in an open relationship, or never to get married, never to have, a family with you, if you have different goals in that kind of way, or vice versa, this is a reason to end the relationship. And don't wait. Don't wait until you're really emotionally attached to the person, and then it's even harder. As soon as they tell you that okie doke, leave them alone. As soon as you find out they don't want what you want, leave them be to go get what they want, and you go get what you want. Because what'll happen is you'll stick around too long, you'll fall in love with them, and then it'd be like almost impossible, still possible, but difficult to get away from them. Your boundaries are constantly being violated. If you put up boundaries in your relationship, whatever they may be, and your lover, whoever it is violating your boundaries, that's a person who really doesn't care about you. And not seriously, because a person who cares about you won't violate your boundaries. So if you having your boundaries constantly violated, it's time to end the relationship. You lack space to show up authentically. So if for any reason you feel like you can't show up authentically, you can't be yourself in the relationship, you definitely want to get out of it, because that's a big, big problem. If you can't be yourself, then you're really giving them what I call your representative. So they really don't even know you, for real, for real. They know your representative. If you can't show up for whatever reason, if it's their fault or if it's your fault, then that's a relationship you shouldn't be in. How are you going to maintain being another person for the rest of your life? I've seen people try it. I've seen people succeed to a certain extent, but it was always at a pretty high cost to their own mental health. Do not recommend showing up in a way that's not really you. You are not being treated the way you deserve. I hear this one a lot. A lot of people will tell somebody you deserve better. I hear this a lot. If the person is not, and when I hear this, I hear reciprocity. So if you're giving this person 110% of yourself and they're giving you back 30%, this you're not being treated in the way that you deserve. And I see a lot of people go through this. I was listening to a woman talk about all of the things that she did for her wife. She was going on and on and on and on. And the wife, I'm like, well, what is she doing for you? Like, what is she your wife for? She's supposed to be a partner. You've been with her all this time. I think it was like 3 years, and basically was taking care of her. And I'm like, so this person is not giving back what you deserve. You're not giving, even if they can't give back in the same way, because giving back isn't always the same. Sometimes giving back means that I'm stepping up to the plate, I'm working, I'm paying for everything, and you are taking care of everything. You're making sure everything at the house is okay, taking care of the kids. There's different ways to balance it out. It doesn't always have to be giving exactly the same thing. But if I'm doing my part and you're only giving 25%, 50%, then this is a relationship that you're not getting what you deserve. You often betray yourself, oh my God, in an effort to preserve the status quo. So you have to betray yourself to show up a certain kind of way to make the relationship look a certain kind of way. Betray yourself. And so many of us do this. The last person in the world you should betray is yourself. You shouldn't betray anybody, but damn sure not yourself. So that's definitely a relationship you should run away from. Your needs are not being met. So you've been with this person and you keep addressing your needs, whatever that may be: intimacy, sex, money, partnership, companionship, conversation, communication in that way. Whatever your needs are, they're not being met. You've already talked about them, you've already addressed them time and time again, and the other person is just clearly not interested, doesn't care about your needs. In those situations, then it definitely is time to move on. You don't feel like you can grow and heal in the relationship. Any relationship that you get into, you should be able to keep growing. You shouldn't get into the relationship and then stop. I noticed this with a lot of people, especially women. When I see a woman get with a man that's not good for her, I always notice that when they break up, the next thing you know, and I've seen memes about this on Facebook and Instagram, after they break up, she got a loan to a crib. She done started school. She started a side business on the weekends, you know. As soon as a woman, or anybody really, but I've seen this a lot with women, are with a man who is not helping them, who is draining them, and probably the same thing going on with a man who's with someone who's draining them, you always notice that after the relationship is over, they start doing better. And you're looking like, you always should be able to grow with your partner. So you two should both be growing. Probably not at the same rate. One of you could be slower or faster, but it should be constant progress. And if you can't grow in your relationship, or if you're trying to heal something and this person is always taking you away from your healing or what you're doing, like for example, I knew a woman. When she met her boyfriend, she was in therapy. She was working on healing some trauma from her childhood. When she got with the boyfriend thought that therapy was for losers. You know, he thought it was for crazy people. You know, he thought it was, just some quack listening to your business. You know, he had a very low opinion of therapy. And because of that, she stopped going to therapy because he kept on, making fun of her or making snide remarks whenever she had a therapist appointment. So she stopped going to therapy. And after they broke up, which inevitably they did, she said to me, the worst thing I ever did was stop going to therapy. And I said, see, you could not grow, you could not heal in that relationship. So I was glad when they broke up, because I knew it was bad for her, but she had to know that. And one day she finally figured that out and went right back to therapy and is doing much better. And that was my whole point to her was, if this is something you believe in, you can't betray yourself and let somebody else take it away from you. The relationship no longer fits the person you've become. So while you're growing, the relationship might not fit you. Some of the relationships that I got involved with, especially I'm thinking about this entanglement that I had with a Cancer once upon a time. The relationship at the time did not work. But then when I look back on it and I say to myself, well, if you had stayed in that relationship, probably would have had the problem with growing and healing anyway. But let's say I had stayed in that relationship, it wouldn't have fit me after a while, And another relationship I had with a Capricorn, the Capricorn told me, one day you will outgrow me. And I was sitting there like, wait, what? Like, what do you mean? And I don't know how the Capricorn came up with this, what made the Capricorn say this. But one day we were alone and we were chilling. And the Capricorn looked at me and said, one day you will outgrow me. And I'm like, okay. And this is what he was talking about. But I didn't know that at the time. And that's what it is. Like, the person that you are is not always, in most cases, the person that you're going to be, because everybody's supposed to learn and grow and, become a better person and work on yourself. And if you're truly doing that, you might get with somebody who fits who you are. I had a good buddy. He was a street pharmacist. Okay. And when he met his wife, who became his wife, when he met her, he was a street pharmacist and she was a college girl. Okay. And their relationship fit at that time. But later on, he got a real job, and he started to do his thing. He went to college, he started taking some classes, and he really started to do well for himself. And they were still in a relationship. They were married at this point. And the relationship had some really rocky times because they no longer fit. He had become a whole different person, and she had went in a total different direction from when they first met. So because of that, they no longer fit each other. So some of the times this is a good reason to end the relationship. The first thing, they did not end the relationship though. They basically just kind of decided to tolerate each other as they were. It's not happy, but it is. They just decided, like, and I don't recommend that, because I don't want to live my life like that. But that's what they decided. And they don't fit each other anymore. They fit before because they were both not at their prime. But when they got to their prime, they weren't compatible anymore. So that's definitely one reason that would be good. You no longer want to be in the relationship. If you do not want to be in a relationship, do not stay in the relationship. I get phone calls every day from people who do not want to be in a relationship, but they're staying in a relationship for a plethora of different reasons. It could be because they financially can't afford to leave. It could be because they have kids. It's because they're scared. They're codependent. They don't know what to do. This person has been with them so long. This person has them scared to be by themselves. What about the other person? Can they live without me? One woman said to me, and this broke my heart when she said this. She said, how can I walk away from him knowing how badly he needs help? She was no longer in love with her husband. They were in love, but over time, his mental illness began to really show itself, and he refused to work, and their relationship just took a really heavy hit. So as she was contemplating divorce, she said that to me. She said, it's clear that he needs help. It's clear that he's not well. How can I just leave? And I was like, you know something? The thing about it is that if you were still in love with him and you still wanted to go the extra mile and maybe do, I don't know what you could do, but whatever you wanted to do, then that would be one thing. But for you not to be in love with him, for you not to want to be with him, for him to not to even try to work on his issues, to put everything financially on you, give you his ass to kiss whenever he feels like it, run off with other women when he feels like it, and you supposed to just sit here and hold the bag. If you don't want to be in this relationship anymore because it's detrimental to you both, then that's what you need to do. And she did eventually end up leaving the relationship, and he went off with the woman that he had been sneaking around with all that time. So my thing is that if you don't want to be in a relationship, these kind of things, these little excuses will come up to hold you into a relationship, especially if a codependency is present. If you are codependent with somebody, you will think of every reason under the sun not to leave that person. And the last one says, you frequently experience negative emotions around your partner, i.e. anger and guilt. If you are with your partner and you constantly feel miserable, you constantly feel bad, and it's not you, it's not just, I have a chemical imbalance or I'm having a bad day, but every time I'm around my partner, I feel negative, I feel guilty, I feel angry, I feel sad. When I was with, oh my God, everybody. When I got to the point where I knew I had to end the relationship was when every time I was around them, I was miserable. When I got to that point with my entanglement or with my relationships, I knew I had to go because I'm not happy. I'm miserable. So at that point, and usually frequently, for me, it was every time. So if you come around that person and you're not happy to see them, you don't have a good positive interaction, that's a relationship that is not really doing much for you. It's invoking negative emotions, so it's lowering your vibration. And if it's lowering your vibration, you definitely shouldn't be in that relationship. And they probably are having some effects from that too, whether or not they're talking to you about it. I've noticed a lot of people in relationships where they're afraid of their partner, or they are, angry, frustrated, resentful of their partner. I've seen a lot of that kind of stuff. And in those situations, if they try to stay, the misery increases. That's one thing about relationships. If you don't fix it, it continues to break down. It's just like a car. If you have a car and it has problems and that check engine light is on, and then the next week it needs an oil change, the next week, the electricity isn't working, it will just gradually keep breaking down until you fix it. So it's the same thing with a relationship. If you cannot fix it, you need to leave it alone, because the bottom line is that it's going to make you increasingly miserable and mess up your quality of life. Neither one of you is happy. You're ruining your life. You're ruining their life. If you got any kids in the mix, oh my goodness. So many people tell me we're staying together for the kids, but the kids are miserable. So are you really doing this for the kids? I've talked to adults who grew up in loveless homes, and almost all of them tell me they wish their family had just divorced. Their parents had just divorced. Waited maybe until they were, older and left. And they would talk to me about, I've never seen my parents kiss. I've never seen my dad give my mom a gift. I've never seen them hug each other. I've never seen them have a polite conversation. And people think that they should stay together anyway, and that kids don't see this. So then the kid grows up and they think this is normal. So when their lover treats them like shit, they don't do anything about it because, well, my mom stayed, my dad stayed. They maintain this relationship. A lot of children mimic our relationships, unfortunately. And if you're one of those kinds of people, that can be really bad. All right, let's look at some positive comments. Let's lighten things up. This is from Candy Smith. Candy, hey. Candy said, I'm glad you are inspiring me. Me too, Candy. Candy, make sure you hit that subscribe button because I want to keep inspiring you as long as you let me. Okay? Tangela. Hey, Tangela. Tangela Slayford, my girl. What's up? Tangela said, live and learn. Live and learn. And I learned you can't just overlook and hope it will work. Great job, Queen. Yeah, you can't do that with anything. Like anything, nothing in your life that is important to you can you just hope it'll work out. If you have no control over it, then of course you have to pray and surrender it, you know? But if you do have control, if you have something that you can do to make things better, to heal things, to change things, you absolutely need to do that. Oh, that was our last one. So you guys come back soon because I have a lot more to say. See you later.